everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to A Purpose-Driven Wife podcast. I'm your host, Trista LeBourne, and today I have such an exciting series. I'm going to call it a series because it's so much fun talking about sex, right? So before we go any further, I just want to let you know, guys, that this episode will get, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit out of your comfort zone. I don't know if you want your children to hear, but this is geared towards equipping your marriages, okay? So today I have with me Meygan from Marriage 365. Her and her husband, Casey, are both marriage coaches, authors, and speakers. They are killing it, okay, guys? So we are going to talk more about sex. Meygan, I'm excited.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and this is my favorite topic to talk about.
So before we get into the details, okay, let's talk about, just kind of picking up from our last episode, where we talked about marriage and things like that and your testimony. Can we just kind of start with, what advice would you give a couple where her complaint, where the wife's complaint is that her husband is not romantic?
Well, I would say that that's a pretty common problem. And one of the things, an easy way for a husband to become a romantic is to follow someone like you, myself, There's so many free resources out there and blogs that have tons of cheat sheets for husbands and wives, if wives struggle with that too, to be romantic. I mean, we even have on our blog like 21 date night ideas. They could just print that up, leave it on their phone, right? Yeah. And just take one of those ideas. So there's a lot of free resources out there with cheat sheets. And I would just encourage a husband or a wife to point them kind of in that right direction. Another thing that my husband always loves to remind me is that men need to be coached with kind of everything, and it doesn't always come natural. And so I would encourage a wife who wants their husband to be more romantic to tell them, hey, is this something that you could work on? Because it means a lot to me. And to come across not as a nag, but more in a loving way, to make sure you say, hey, because when you're romantic, I feel more connected to you emotionally and physically and spiritually.
I love that, because it really is about connection. I guess for women, it's a lot about connection. So let's get down to some sex now, right? So,
okay.
so I guess the number one issue when it comes to sex, would it be connection?
It would. Now there's always exceptions to the rules with sex. Okay. So I want to make that clear. And I also want to say that if you're listening and there's a woman who's been sexually abused or molested in their past, that this doesn't necessarily work for them, that I would always encourage her to seek professional help and get healing, because there was trauma in that area and it is a serious thing. Yes. And so it will actually keep you from having and experiencing true intimacy with your husband. So I just kind of want to say that little disclaimer, because a lot of women I coach, and then at the very end of our session, they'll say, well, I was molested when I was 13. Whoa. Well, that's a whole different set of, playing cards there that we've got to deal with. So I'm going to put that aside. So I'm going to talk to the woman who was not sexually abused or molested. I would say that women want to feel connected emotionally as well as physically. And I think that the two go absolutely hand in hand. You cannot just connect physically, and you cannot just connect emotionally. They have to go side by side together. Okay, so before we go any further, let me just get an understanding. So for women, we have to connect, and I guess I don't know about men because I'm not a male. So for women, we have to connect. Is it mentally, as well as spiritual? I mean, physically. Well, there's a mental side. So for women, it's about 90% emotional and about 10% physical. As we're men, and now I'm not a man either, but I can say my husband tells me this all the time. They actually feel more connected when they're physical with us. Whereas opposite, when we're emotionally connected, then we want to get physical. Isn't that funny, God's sense of humor, right?
Right.
Of course it has to be opposite. Right. It can't just be easy that way. So, I think that there is definitely a mental side of connecting with our spouse And then the emotions come, and then the physical come for us. But it doesn't always have to be in that order. And I think ideally it should be, but sometimes, you know, things just get complicated. So I think from what I know is every time I've had sex with my husband, I walk away never regretting that. You know, after an orgasm, you never say, well, that was a waste of time.
Right.
Just don't say that.
Right.
So the key to part of that is that making sure that women are actually enjoying sex with their husband. And not just sex, but the key word here is foreplay. Because that, with women, we have to have foreplay. I love Dr. John Gottman, and he says every positive thing you do in your relationship is foreplay. That's a powerful statement if you think about it.
That is pretty powerful.
Every positive thing you do in your relationship is foreplay. That means doing the dishes, a back rub, lighting candles in the bedroom, helping with the kids at bedtime. This is every positive interaction. Anything you do positive for your relationship is a form of foreplay for women and for men, but mostly for women.
Right. Okay, so you said that 90 for women, it's 90% emotional and 10% physical, right? And then it's the opposite for men. Yeah. So how can we meet, you know, halfway, right? So is it both being servants, basically?
Yeah, so I would define great married sex as when two people, a husband and a wife, go into the bedroom serving the other person first. And not saying, I'm serving you and I don't need any pleasure. Not with that mindset. But I feel like a lot of times women feel like we're pieces of meat. And like, oh, my husband's in the mood, so I just have to serve him. But a good husband would say, hey, baby, I love you and I want to serve you. And a good wife would say the same thing, because we're supposed to be serving and honoring each other in the bedroom. And that's when sex and foreplay are the best, is when both husband and wife go in to say, it's not about me. This is about us. This is about making you feel loved, and I want to please you in a way that God designed for marriage. I mean, he created these body parts to be pleased. That's the truth.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I'm loving the serving part. So basically, when you say get in the mood, you know, a lot of the women, you know, we have an issue sometimes getting in the mood when it comes to like children and life. Basically, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, yeah, I've got 2 kids. I know you've got several kids.
Yeah.
It's hard to just kind of, okay, kids are in bed, now let's pounce on each other, right?
Yeah.
Like you're so tired by the end of the day. So one of the things that we teach couples is to schedule sex. And put it in your calendar. We have a code word. We use the word NAP, N-A-P, which stands for naughty and playful. So if someone finds our phone, they don't think we're like nymphomaniacs.
Right.
Right? Or if our kids come across their phone, they're like, ew, you're having sex tonight. Yeah. We have code words for that. So I highly recommend using a code word just in case if you lose your phone or your kids come across your phone. But scheduling sex has shown in studies that it actually helps prepare people who are not in the mood. I'm going to assume right now we're talking to women.
Right.
It's the women listening. If that's you and you find yourself not being able to get in the mood, scheduling it helps prepare that mental and emotional side. So that mental side, you're able to get prepared. You're like, okay, well, you know what? I have to have some energy tonight to be with my husband. So I'm going to say no to my girlfriend who asked me to pick up her kids because tonight I've got something really special planned with my husband. I'm not going to worry that the house is super clean because it can wait until after I have sex with my husband. The mental side is also thinking of those amazing things about your spouse. Like, instead of thinking, oh, they didn't take out the trash last night. Okay, sure, that's a fact. But then you say, you know what, though? He's such an amazing dad. Or, you know, the other day, he said the nicest thing to me. Or, you know, he picked my mom up from the airport. That was so selfless.
Yeah.
So it's mentally starting to prepare yourself. And I tell women, and I would encourage all of you listening, to write down those things, journal them or write them down on a piece of paper or text them to yourself. At least 5 things. Positive things about your husband the day that you know you're going to have sex and be intimate with him, and you'll see your mind will slowly start to soften and kind of change, and you'll go, yeah, that's great. Like, I am lucky to be married to this guy. He's me. I'm stoked. He wants to have sex with me.
Right. Oh my goodness. So I like basically scheduling sex, but it seems almost like not romantic.
I know. You know what's funny is that every time I post that on any kind of blog or social media, I get that the most. Now, if you have spontaneous sex often in your marriage, keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Don't change it. Don't schedule it. But for all the rest of you that are like me and probably like Trista, who are tired often, who find themselves feel like they're giving their husband their leftovers.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity, a great way, and a great option for your sex life with your husband. And another thing, it doesn't have to be at night. If your husband works close by or works from home, plan times in the afternoon. I mean, if your kids are napping or if they're in school, heck yeah. Or have them go to a neighbor's house for half an hour. You know, I mean,
that's true.
It's just we make it work when we want it to work, right? Like
it's true.
Make it happen. And so now the emotional side of it is kind of going back to that John Gottman quote of every positive thing you do. Be sure to let your spouse know. You know, I feel very. I want to get more emotionally connected with you. And where that happens is friendship. Building your friendship. Date nights, playing board games after the kids go to bed, taking walks, just, you know, being together and talking and laughing and making memories. That's where you're going to feel connected emotionally. It's going to be a lot easier to connect physically.
Yeah, I really think that's important too. Really building the friendship. You know, I really like that because that's really important. Like, you want to be able to know your spouse, you know? Yeah.
And the reality is when you are completely naked in a bed with your husband, I mean, if you're not feeling like this is your best friend, your safe place, you're the person that you can be 100% transparent with, you are going to withhold a little bit. You're not going to be as open to trying new things and pleasing him or even getting pleased yourself because you're not emotionally connected. And that's really, really important for females.
But, you know, for men, that's hard, you know, just emotion, just period. You know, my husband is not like an emotional guy, you know, and I know that it's like that for most men, you know, and for women, we're like that, like 100% of the time, you know. I wouldn't say that much, but we are, you know.
Well, let me correct you on something. I actually think that men are emotional. I think they there's a couple factors. I think our world has said if you feel emotion, you're a baby, you're a sissy, man up. You know, it's like when little boys fall, we always are like, you're fine, toughen up, you're good, stand up. We teach them from such an early age not to be very sensitive, not to express their emotions. And so part of that is our culture of just telling, I mean, gosh, in the military, right? Like, no time to cry, guys. We got things to do.
Yeah.
And there is definitely emotion there behind every man. It's just learning. They need to learn how to express themselves, but then also giving them a safe environment to do so.
That's true. I like that. Giving them a safe environment. So what is that?
A safe environment, I would like to say, is we call it Naked Conversations. I mean, we do monthly webinars, and that's the title of them. And people thought at first that we were going to be naked, and I'm like, no. What? Basically, gosh, no. No one wants to see that. Yes. But we are basically asking. So Casey and I, my husband Casey and I, we are starting a naked conversation with the couples, and then we want you to continue it, meaning that we're not judging you where you're at in your life. We want you to be 100% transparent, respectful, loving, open, understanding, just like God asks us to do with our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And we need you to do that in your marriage, meaning that we talk about communication, we talk about our budgets, we talk about our kids. Why aren't couples talking about sex? That is my biggest issue I have with couples. We call it the post-sex pillow talk, which we write a lot about in our book, Naked Dinners, that kind of like, you know, you have sex and then a half an hour later or maybe the next day, you talk about, hey, you know, when you touched me here, I liked it. Hey, I really felt uncomfortable when you did that.
Okay.
You know, I know I used to like my breasts touched, but now it bugs me. I don't like them touched because women are always changing. Our hormones, we have children. And if we're not talking about it, which drives that emotional connection and having a naked conversation, clothes are optional during the conversation.
Yeah.
Being more naked emotionally, right? It's like Adam and Eve were naked and unashamed. We're asking couples, that is exactly what it looked like before sin, right? They were naked and unashamed. We are asking couples to be naked and be unashamed. You are married. God is for you. You're married. You have as much sex, crazy sex as you want, because that's how God intended it. Now, we do have 3 rules. I would tell every couple this. So our 3 rules are no third party. You cannot have a third party. No adding additional, no swinging, nothing like that. Okay.
Right.
It comes to sex. The second rule is no pornography. I've heard so many people say, well, it really turns me on and gets me in the mood. Well, of course, that's what it's designed to do.
Right.
But it's also completely a fairy tale. It's not real life. You don't go home with those people on TV. You don't have to do their dishes. You don't have to smell their farts. You don't have to do anything to these people. It's completely on a screen. And so no pornography. It's also addictive, so that's not good. And then we would tell couples nothing that hurts the other spouse, meaning that if they feel very uncomfortable or they felt like it hurt or maybe they had a past trauma with that and they don't want to do it again, that's where that post-sex pillow talk comes to play, though, is that you talk about this. How do you know what hurts and doesn't hurt if you talk about it? It's very, very important that but other than that, I mean, the marriage bed is all yours, and you get to experience it, and it truly is a gift to a marriage. And I think when women start viewing it as a gift, well, men and women, it is truly a gift. So
yes, and it actually, and for me personally, it actually freed me because to know that God created sex for me to enjoy.
Yes,
that really freed me. Oh, okay, so God enjoys that I'm happy, doing the sex, So,
and he wants you, and I think the thing that we forget is that, he made those body parts for pleasure, okay? He also, your husband wants to see you pleased. I mean, ultimately, spouse, I mean, I want to see my husband happy and pleased sexually, just like he wants to see me pleased and happy sexually. And that's that good, healthy sex of saying, listen, it's about both of us being pleased. Let's serve each other. Not just like, hey, do it because I'm in the mood and I don't care if you're not. I've got needs. I hate when you say that. I've got needs. We all have needs.
Yes.
But it's not about just meeting one person's needs. It's saying, hey, you don't feel connected. What can we do to connect emotionally? What can we do to connect physically? Since you're not in the mood for sex, let's brainstorm other ideas. That doesn't mean no when we go to our separate corners. Gosh, no. If someone's not in the mood for sex, then the other person needs to say, okay, so sure, we're not going to have sex tonight, but let's do something else. Let's kiss. Let's give each other massages. Let's go on a walk. Let's go play a game downstairs.
Yes, to do something together. I love that. I love that.
Not just be, I'm not in the mood, and so we're not going to be together tonight. Gosh, no. Because what happens is most people, the person that pursues sex feels rejected. Right? Understandably so. I think that's very fair. I believe that, I mean, there's been times I've been in the mood and my husband's like, I'm actually good. I'm so tired. It's kind of rare. That doesn't happen.
Right.
It's only happened about 5 times in years. But, but when that happens, I do go, gosh, but I'm like feeling good and I'm feeling clean and I'm feeling ready. And he's not into me, and you take it personally, like they're not into you.
Yes.
And so that's when the other person needs to say, okay, since you're not in the mood, then let's brainstorm other ways to connect, because you can't just let that part go. You have to be able to connect on another level then, if it's not going to be sexually.
So I really like that because, sometimes my husband and I, we kind of look at each other like, hey, I'm in the mood, So do you think, so the other person is communicating to you, okay, I'm in the mood, but you're not in the mood. Do you think it's safe to communicate that? Just to say, okay, right now I'm not in the mood, but give me an hour.
Yes, I think the more communication, the better. I think, and the other person that feels rejected should say, because right now I love you and I want you and desire you, but I'm feeling rejected right now. And not, I feel rejected, but in a loving way to say, what can we do to make this better? I think that's a great idea, to give yourself an hour. Hey, you know what? Let me go shower. Let me clean off all of the baby spit up and the dish soap water on me.
Yeah. Maybe
I'll feel better and more sexy. I mean, there's definitely a practical side of getting in the mood. I always tell women, shower. like the number one thing you can do to get yourself in the mood is shower, right? And I know that you've talked about that too. We can shower together.
Yes.
Shower, shave your legs, buy a new bra and panties. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money at Victoria's Secret. You could go to stores like Forever 21 or Walmart. I mean, they have pretty cute like little bras and panties for cheap. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's not, and it's funny because we say that lingerie is for the man, but you know what? When I shower and shave my legs and put some perfume on and put new lingerie on, I feel pretty. I feel more confident about myself and my body. You know, when I find all those lingeries that hide my mommy pouch, you know, my extra skin I've got on my belly button area. There's tons of cute lingerie that hides that because that makes me feel more secure in the bedroom rather than, you know, this like slutty thing. I mean, and hey, I'm all for slutty too, by the way. Don't go there. On my thinner days, I feel great in that. But on my days where I feel a little bloated or, I maybe ate too many chocolate covered almonds yesterday, you know, you wear the baggier lingerie. But there's definitely that practical side. Light some candles. Take a bubble bath. Tell your husband, hey, I need an hour. You put the kids to bed, and I will get ready. And I will be ready in an hour.
Oh, man. This is some really good stuff. Okay, I just have to stop it here, guys. What did you guys think about this conversation? I mean, this was so fulfilling and so awesome. I had such a great time talking to her about sex and just really, you know, what does that mean to have a God-designed sex and marriage lifestyle, right? So guys, tune in to part 2 next Monday. And then after that, there's a part 3. So guys, you got to keep your seatbelts on, ready, take your notepads out, your journals, and write. Meygan and her ministry or her business, Marriage 365, she is doing amazing things. She has awesome tips and just funny stories as well that she shares in the next episode as well as this one. And so, like I said, guys, I really enjoyed myself, and I hope and pray that you guys, you know, had a good time as well. So as a disclaimer, guys, please forgive me for, you know, my children in the background and my phone was making noise. I mean, all kind of stuff. But like I always say in my podcast, that I really like to leave some of this stuff in because this is what it's like, you know, as a mom, a work-at-home mom of, you know, young children. And this is how I do it. You know, it's just me. And this is how I, you know, really get the word out. Okay. So guys, again, tune in every Monday where I share tips, and definitely tune in to my blog, A Purpose Driven Wife, at adrivenwife.com, where I share more of my show notes about everything that was discussed here. And also, guys, if you would like to leave a comment, head on over to iTunes and definitely look up A Purpose Driven Wife podcast and leave a comment, just letting me know what you guys think of this podcast, what kind of topics you would like to hear about, and or you could just check me out on my blog, A Purpose Driven Wife, at adrivenwife.com once again. And guys, you know, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Tune in every Monday, like I said, and you will be blessed. So you guys, you have a blessed day and enjoy.